Appeals. First order of business is, roll call, please.
Matheson,
Here.
Balo,
Here.
Laurent,
Here.
Shaker Crawford. Here. We have a quorum.
Thank you. Next item is approval of the agenda.
Motion to approve the agenda.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Agenda is approved. Second or fourth item is first hearing of the public for items not scheduled for public hearing, basically non-agenda items. If you have something non-agenda you want to come up, talk about, 3 minutes, otherwise we'll move on. Seeing none, I will close that public hearing. Next item is approval of the minutes, approval of BZA regular meeting minutes of October 2nd, 2025.
Motion to approve the meeting notes from October 22, 2025.
I'll second.
We have a motion and second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Next, we'll have the BZA preface, which consists of a presentation by the planner's staff of project information, presentation of petitioner, receipt of public comments. All comments shall be heard from persons who have signed the sign-in sheet and state their name and address for the record, recommendation of the planner and staff, and then board deliberation and action. The next item is public hearing. Public hearing, the first one would be public hearing A-25-005, 256 South Broadway Street, dimensional variance request. And is there a motion to,
I don't think you need a motion.
we need to make the motion?
We'll need a motion to open the public hearing.
Okay.
Is there a motion to open the public?
I will make a motion to open the public hearing.
Second.
Yeah, we have a motion and second, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. All right.
Okay, my name is Larry Dunn, 222 South Broadway. I'll preface my comments by saying I am an active member of the Planning Commission for the village. And I'll also say that I live 2 houses down from the restaurant, and I do understand, you know, their desire to have some shade back in the back of the restaurant, because I know what it's like sitting out on my deck and how hot it gets out there and how the sun beats down on you. I guess I'd be a lot more welcoming to the idea of approving a variance if I didn't have to constantly see things being done over there that I know have not been approved. I watched them. I don't know if the cooler built on the side of the building was approved before it was done. I watched them build a bar out there when you're not even supposed to mix drinks outside in the village. I know, being a member of the Planning Commission, that the original approval for that restaurant did not approve of string lighting that for a lot of the time runs 24/7 over there, and I think that's a problem on the lake, is that we have too much light pollution, so that's kind of annoying. And then I watched them building this overhang that is well within the 25-foot setback, which was kind of frustrating. And I guess that's just my comments, is I just am kind of getting tired of watching things being done on a regular basis over there without going through the proper channels. And I know we had to get a slight variance when we had our condo built and the deck came, we had to add a couple feet. But when we did that, we went through the proper channels before we started doing anything. And I think to me, you're setting a bad precedence for others to follow by not following the rules of the village. And that's all I have to say.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Anybody else? Seeing none, I'll entertain a motion to close the public hearing.
Well, we'll close the public hearing, A25005. We'll close that, and a motion to open the public hearing for A25006.
If
Okay.
I
I'll
may,
second.
if I may, before we second that, we'll need a second to close the public hearing and then a new motion to open the
Yeah, I
second
knew
public
that.
hearing.
I'll second the motion on the first,
To close.
to close.
Second. Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 And I'll make a motion to open the public hearing for A 25006-9, or 694 at Victoria Island, dimensional variances.
I'll second.
We have a motion second, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay, that public hearing is open. Anybody wishing to comment on that? Okay, come on up.
My name is Kevin Reiner, and I'm the owner of 694 Victoria Island. So just wanted to share some of my thoughts. I know Ed's going to speak as well. But the reason I'm requesting the variance, I just wanted to share with you two things that were important to me when I bought the property was to maintain the original cottage. So I chose to come up with a design that respects that and keeps that original cottage. And then another part of the property that I really liked were all the mature trees. So when it came to putting that design together, it's one of the originals that are still out there. And so I'm making a huge effort to try to save that, even though most people would probably tear it down. But I wanted to say, it's a summer house for me. It's where my family's up here. I'm from Ohio, and so I go back and forth. But I wanted to share with you that I've chatted with all the neighbors, and they have given me a verbal approval. I also wanted to say that I've tried to respect the views of the neighbors, and there's really not a lot of, windows on the south side of the property, which is where my neighbors are that I'm requesting the variance. So the other part of that is, I'd like to stay as far back from the water as possible to save some of the mature trees. So, I know Ed will have more about the road or the lack of a road on the island and what that means. So that's all I have right now.
Thank you.
My name is Tony Pino. I'm 2 doors down from Kevin's place on Victoria Island. I'm at 670 Victoria Island. And I'm just here to support. We don't really get a ton of stuff on the island. The variance wouldn't affect anything. What is called a road is a path. So just getting to know him and just, he wants to keep the original house, which was pretty much dormant most of the time I've been on that island. So 100% of support from one of the owners on Victoria.
Great.
Anybody else?
I'll make a motion to close the public hearing, A 2506694.
I'll second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Great. Moving on, action items. Item 8A, A-25-005, 256 South Broadway, dimensional variance request. Mr. Planner.
Yes. Good evening, everyone. Good evening, board members. Tonight we're here as we've begun our review of a proposed variance for the Waterside Social Restaurant. I'm going to be summarizing my review letter dated October 29th and highlight some of the some of the key points. But For the public and for the recorded audience, this lot is occupied by an existing one-story building with a rear concrete patio deck and a covered porch area in the front or east elevation of the building. It is located, the site itself is on the west side of South Broadway Street, north of Atwater Street intersection, and this site is actually zoned MU, mixed use. So the applicant is requesting a variance from the minimum setback of the waterfront for a pergola to cover their concrete patio seating area in that rear yard or lakefront yard. We note that the applicant has already installed and constructed the pergola on the property without a permit from the village and has received a stop work order for the particular construction. As noted, the previously constructed pergola addition to the patio on the west elevation in that waterfront yard is not in compliance with the zoning ordinance dimensional standards. So the request is for a variance from those waterfront setback standards. The minimum setback is 25 feet. As constructed, the pergola sits 13 feet 7 inches from the waterfront line. So therefore, the request is for an 11-foot 5-inch variance from that 25-foot standard. So as with any variance, we look at the approval criteria listed within the zoning ordinance. The first criteria we consider is whether strict compliance with our standards would unnecessarily burden the property owner from using the property. If by requiring compliance with that 25-foot setback, would they somehow not be capable of utilizing the property? So granting of the variance, if it was to be granted, would allow the pergola to continue and provide some sun protection for patrons with the use of the pergola. But we do note that the use of other alternatives are possible for to provide this aspect of shade on the patio. They could use the use of umbrellas or retractable shade from the building would also provide that sun protection that's desired for patrons, and that would actually comply with the required setback requirement of 25 feet. So strict compliance would still allow the applicant to utilize the waterfront yard for a dining patio, just not in their preferred configuration. You also look at aspects of whether this variance will provide substantial justice to this applicant as well as the neighboring property owners, meaning being consistent with the substantive character of justice for ordinance compliance. So granting, if the variance was granted, it would give substantive relief to the applicant because they would be allowed to have their pergola, but would not necessarily be consistent with the justice provided to other waterfront property owners. As I mentioned, while this variance would allow the applicant to maintain and utilize the pergola and the existing structure within that waterfront setback, other property owners have complied with the setback standard and not place a structure in the waterfront area. Our zoning ordinance does allow single-family residential structures a small exemption for smaller areas within the waterfront setback, but it's still limited in size and still limited in location. And once again, that's single-family residential. We're talking tonight about a commercial business in the mixed-use district. Yeah, and I can answer any questions at any time if anyone likes. Dr. Bielo, did you have a question?
How far off is the Moshiri, those?
What's the setback from a sherry, you know?
I don't know off the top of my head. I do believe that was done under a PUD, so they might have had modifications to those standards.
I don't remember Sherry not following those guidelines anywhere in
That's
those
true, yeah.
projects.
Because I actually don't, I'm afraid I don't know that actual.
But I don't know that for fact.
Right.
I just asked because I went over and looked at it and I looked really close to the water, that's why I asked. So, okay.
You said that 175 square feet is what was approved
Well,
by the village ordinance previously, and they have 625?
that is correct. And just in terms of, but in effect, it's not really apples to apples comparison because, a similar equivalent comparison because the 175 square foot is allowed for residential uses, single-family residential uses.
Oh,
Oh, I thought I
it's
saw
not
something in
allowed.
here that you have it in here, though. So if it's in here, why is it in here if it's,
I was just pointing out the fact that
Commercial.
there have been, while there might have been some attempts to allow for some use in that 25-foot setback, the only aspect we've ever allowed is on single-family lots for a smaller patio pergola situation.
So you're
There's no,
cite-
it's not, that's the only instance in which it's ever been allowed. There's no instance in the mixed use at all.
So you're
that-
citing it, but it's not really pertaining to this.
Right.
And then also, it sounds as if we're considering voting on a variance for which these owners have already built something that they knew was not allowed and not approved. So we're voting on an existing, complying structure for which they're now asking a variance after the fact. Is that correct?
I would say that yes, I would say that they're asking for a variance for an illegally non-conforming structure
That they've already built,
that has been constructed, yes.
that already was not allowed?
To the best of my knowledge,
That there was no permit issued for it?
right, correct. There was never, correct, that's absolutely correct. There was never a permit issued for this particular aspect of that redevelopment of the site. No, it was not.
Okay, and then,
Discussed.
if they didn't get the 13-foot, 7-inch variance for something they've already built that wasn't allowed, what size would the pergola be? What would it have to come down to? Would it
Based
just have
on
to go
the,
away completely?
pretty much, based on the configuration of the water line in relation to the structure, it becomes a very narrow pergola that would probably provide no real fundamental benefit, mainly because of the relationship between that water line to the building. For example, one reason, their renovation permit did allow for the construction of a deck, a second-story deck, but it's limited to the northern edge of the building, and it's a very small in scale, and I believe it only allows 3, maybe 4 tables at most. So it's pretty small, and that's because that's the relationship of that deck was actually approved because it's in compliance with that 25-foot setback. So it's in that location, and it's hard to distinguish on the site plan in front of you.
Yeah, that's why.
But it is on there. It's
Yeah,
hard to see.
I was looking at it and I couldn't quite make head or tails of it.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
Does this plan come from a new owner or a current owner?
So the plan comes from the current owner, who did purchase the property and redeveloped it as the waterside social restaurant.
And
So-
Waterside Social is running the restaurant?
Yes. So basically,
Waterside Social is a new owner, like in the last year, correct?
that is correct.
Oh, okay, just making sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. Previously, the building was actually occupied, I believe it was pediatric office, right? Or was,
It was a different
No, there
restaurant.
was a restaurant
right, well,
between the two.
sorry, I'm showing my age. Back in the day, in like 2015,
yeah.
16, it was like an office use. Then it did become a restaurant. And at that time, that restaurant did not have the pergola, they did not have the outdoor balcony. It was just run by a different operator. But I believe it was in the past year that it was purchased by the current owner now, and they've been making these renovations to the site.
So it's a new owner.
Yeah, it's a,
Yeah, so it is a new owner.
okay.
It's the second restaurant operator on that site.
But this owner put up the pergola.
Correct,
Okay,
yes.
all right.
So that really actually does sum up a majority of my issues, and I mean, some of the highlights I want to point out with regards to the 5 criteria of the ordinance, the zoning ordinance. Just to reiterate what has already been basically alluded to, is that one of the last criteria is that the fact that the need for the variance has been created by strict compliance with the zoning ordinance and not by the applicant or the applicant's predecessors. It's not self-created. Well, in this instance, the problem and the resulting need for the variance to encroach into the required waterfront setback is a self-created situation by the applicant due to the construction of the pergola.
The
Yes, sir, Dr.
current, the
Bailey.
current deck was in the original plan or does meet the ordinance?
The patio is a flush with the grade improvement on the site, and that is in compliance with the ordinance because it's not a structure.
Yeah, it's a lot.
This is actually a structure because it raises more than 9 inches above grade, and it needs to be adhered to the ground. So the pergola is technically a structure. It's an accessory structure.
Do you see it right there?
Yeah. I didn't know whether the deck was in compliance and they built on top of the deck that was already okayed, or whether, you understand?
So in summary, I just wanted to point out that the Board of Zoning Appeals shall only grant a variance from the requirements of the zoning ordinance upon finding the criteria described above have been met for the variance requested, if they have demonstrated that they are in compliance with the standards granting the variance or not. And so in making your determination for the variance, you would have to specify how the applicant has either demonstrated compliance with the zoning ordinance setback standard, with the approval criteria, or whether they have not, or whether they have not met in the setback, the variance approval criteria.
You also said they could have been achieved another way.
That was with regards to whether, if the variance is granted, or, excuse me, if strict compliance with the standards would prevent them from using the site, and, you know, if the intent is to provide sun, shade, or shade from the sun to customers, then there are other alternatives that would be in compliance with the ordinance and still provide that aspect. So,
Like umbrellas and
so granting the variance would not grant,
deny.
requiring strict compliance will not prohibit them from utilizing the property. If they were required to comply with the ordinance, they could still have some aspect of sunshade. It's just not the one they prefer. They would prefer to utilize the pergola as a means of providing sun. That is not in compliance with the ordinance. There are other means that could provide shade, and would be in compliance with the ordinance, but it's not their preferred method.
Does this pergola have a vented top or no?
I believe it does, yes.
Yeah, it's,
The
did you,
picture's in here. Yeah, I know you can't tell.
okay.
Truth, I'm surprised this is in front of us because most business stuff goes in front of the planning commission and we never see it. So, and is that why it's here? Is because,
That's because they added something to it that they didn't go to anybody on.
okay.
I mean, I remember, approving this project, but there was no pergola on this project.
Originally.
And I also
7
read,
years ago.
in their filing that to help service a bar, which I'm not sure I don't think you can mix drinks out there. You might be able to serve drinks, but I don't believe you can mix drinks out there. And I don't, is there an owner here?
Do you have anything else for the planner?
I don't.
Okay. Want to close the planner portion?
Wait, I want to ask another question.
Okay. Go ahead.
So the pergola, we know is too close. Is the bar too close? And should there be a bar?
So with regards to the bar structure, they were, during the course of inspection, it was determined, it was discovered that the bar was constructed without a permit. They were allowed to maintain the bar provided that they come and obtain a variance for the bar location, because the bar actually is a structure that is closer than 25 feet to the waterfront. Between that point in time in which the bar was discovered and the requirement to apply for variance was placed upon them by the previous planning and zoning coordinator, then the pergola was constructed. So now the pergola is actually even closer to the waterfront than the bar was. So if the pergola, if they don't receive the variance for the pergola, it would have to be removed, and then the bar is still there, they would then have to attempt to get a variance to keep the bar in that location from that one that is further away, or have that be removed. With regards to the use of the bar, that was indicated to them that yes, it is intended only supposed to be in this outdoor area in the mixed use for, based on the approvals they have, only for serving of prepared drinks. So there, right now, is not, the permitted use does not include mixing and serving of
So the
drinks. in
bar
there.
is actually in compliance, but
What?
it's compliance to be able to serve,
Correct,
but not in compliance with the setback.
correct, yeah. The use itself of just serving to patrons is permitted and in compliance, but the actual size and location of the bar is not. But since that time, it's become even more, because if you were to grant this variance, then then the bar would be permitted because it is less than that. It is further away from the waterfront than the pergola, so.
Okay, thank you. We will move on to board deliberation and action.
Do we have to close that session?
No.
We're there. Nope, we're there. They haven't presented yet.
Okay.
We did this. No.
We don't have to?
Yeah, they're here.
We don't have to close the discussion?
No, we don't have to close the discussion.
Okay, so now are we discussing, or are you looking something up?
No, the next one is the presentation by the petitioner.
Okay, yeah.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Public,
I know, I don't like
Sure.
that the public's out of this.
yeah, next would be, I apologize, I went out of order. Next would be the presentation of the petitioner. So,
Yep.
Step
Owner-
up, state
owner's
your
rep-
name,
whoever the
your
petitioner-
address, and
I'm Chris Dewey, this is Doug Jones, we're partners in the new restaurant. And obviously, we took this project on, we own Wine Social downtown and got a good following. Took this project on and tried to develop it into something Lake Orion. You know, a restaurant on a lake is very unique, and there's really no book written, especially in Lake Orion, for a restaurant on a lake, when it comes to, you know, the rules and stuff like that. But along the way, we've tried to go through all the different steps. And like he was saying, we met out there with Gage, when Gage was here,
And Dave Goodlow as well.
and Dave Goodlow in the meeting from the township. We told Gage, Gage came out and saw the bar, and he said we could not mix drinks, but we could serve beer and wine and pre-made drinks we could put in glasses. 100% agree with him. We haven't even used the bar yet because it's just not done. Well, we had a meeting with Gage about the pergola because on that lake with that wind, we've tried umbrellas, the wind destroys them. First time we have a good wind, you know. So we saw that we had the patio structure. We met with Gage, with Dave Goodlow, and he said, as long as you don't fasten this structure to the building and pull your permits through the township, which we did, then you're good to go. And we were all in this meeting out on the patio that day. So Dave Goodlow's been out there every step of the way inspecting this pergola. So we didn't just do it without permission. We did it because we were told we could. We have to do it this way. We have to pull our permits through the township. And like I said, the township was 100% with us every step of the way. We weren't trying to sneak. We weren't trying to do something. We didn't do it until we got permission to do it.
And originally, we were working with Gage, with the village. He was the one we were interacting with, going through all these processes. And then I know he was off for some time in August. And that's right before then is when he said, well, all right, well, let's do it this way. And it was during that meeting with Dave Goodlow when he said, all right, well, we do actually have to have a variance now, because he looked at the
rules
at
and
the
everything.
ordinances and such and
But it
said,
was
all right,
already up, right?
No, this is
Or
prior to.
was it not?
No.
right,
We met with Gage before it was, any wood was delivered or anything.
correct.
And we kept it right within the patio, with the patio. And the patio, like you had mentioned, the 9-inch thing, you know, it's got a little drop off, 9 inches, 12 inches. But when they were allowed to do that patio, so we kept this pergola within that patio because that outdoor space is, in the summer, is more than 50%, 60% of our business. And if it's 80, 90 degrees, and we can't keep umbrellas from flying out of the things or swinging around on people, you probably can't keep the business alive.
Yeah, we spent about $4,000 on large umbrellas, large bases at the bottom, you know, commercial grade umbrellas. Within a week, the first storm came through and they were trashed.
I
And
believe that.
yeah,
Oh, yeah, it's that wind off that lake. When it's bad, you can't put anything out there. Even like he was mentioning something about one of those, things you can extract and stuff. One good wind, that's $10,000. That's on our roof. That's why this wood structure that allows wind to come through. And another thing we talked about with Gage and Mario actually, about how it's wide open. There's like 6x5, 6x6 that go across. It didn't affect the look from the lake. It didn't affect the look from the restaurant, you know. And it's 8.5 feet, so when you're sitting in the restaurant, you still see that whole lake. And then we did all this kind of with Gage and with the township and what's the best way to do this. So we went through we didn't just go out and start building something and say and ask for
But
forgiveness.
Gage gave you the okay to go ahead?
Gage said, get our permit through the township.
I'm sorry, I actually had the very initial contact with Gage.
this is Lisa. So
Hi.
she's
So before
general
we
manager.
had the
Wait,
meeting
wait,
on the
Excuse
patio.
me,
Hi.
you're gonna have to identify yourself, and you guys
Hi.
can't, okay,
I'm Lisa.
someone's gonna talk, and then someone else is gonna talk, and you're gonna introduce yourself, please.
I'm the operating director over at Waterside. So during the startup phase.
And your name is?
Lisa.
Full name?
So.
Lisa what?
Okay, good.
And so before this meeting happened on the patio with Dave Goodlow, I actually made initial contact with Gage and David here. This is months before this meeting even took place. And so the question was, is something allowed on the patio to encase it or have any type of covering? And at that time, we sat here for about 2 hours, and it was actually Gage that initiated, we can list it under as a pergola, verbally gave us the green light, okay? And then at that point, he pulled in Dave Goodlow, and then from there is where we said, okay, well, it seems like it's a go. He verbally said, looks like it's a green light for me on my end because you guys are, you know, this many feet away, and it looks like I just need to come out there and take a look at it. So this conversation happened well before the 5 of us even met on the patio, where that conversation continued onward to nothing but a thumbs up of everything looks good and everything looks like this is A-okay. And then all of a sudden it became something else where now we're not in compliance, even though they had told us, like Chris was saying, you know, as long as it is not adhered to the building and it is detached, right? And so now we're here and we're just, I just don't understand how I went from having an initial contact of, you got the green light, right? I get a verbal okay, but this was in no means something where Chris just arbitrarily started building stuff just because we wanted to get it done. We were trying to take the proper steps in doing it.
Okay, excuse me, Mario, where is the paperwork from Gage in writing that gives them everything that these 3 people are saying they were allowed?
So the only
The
paperwork
the signed, approved paperwork.
the only thing I have within the system with regards to permitting, as mentioned, they did submit an application to renovate the building. It did include, they actually did include the outdoor freezer unit on the north side. It included the deck the second floor small deck on the northwest corner of the building. And with that permit, there was detail about those things being permitted. And then with that permit, there is a note from Gage that states that on this date, is when he discovered the location of the bar that had already existed when he went and visited the site. These are his notes. And then on the permit, and then it said, you need to come and apply for a variance for the bar from the setback, because that in itself is a structure that is within the 25-foot setback. So the only thing I've been going on is written notes from him. And then there is, I believe, at least one email from him back in July, I think. He might have emailed them the application indicating that they needed to come and apply for a variance for the location of the bar, because that bar was within the 25-foot setback.
So where's, excuse me.
And so there are no other notes with regards to any of his other meetings that I could find
So
with
where's
regards
that,
to that.
where's that application? Is that this application?
We submitted their initial application, it was incomplete, and then in the course of helping them complete that application, ordinance enforcement officers informed me that the pergola was constructed. So at that point in time, knowing that the location of the pergola now, and once again, I didn't have any written notes indicating the conversation with the pergola. He just never left any notes about that, if that had happened. So I was just going off the fact that the initial condition and the requirement, the notice for a variance was needed to be submitted was for the bar.
So no approval was issued.
No written approval was ever issued.
So what? I'm
No
not-
written approval was ever issued for anything within the 25-foot setback.
Okay, so now I'm confused.
I got a lot of questions too. Let me take over here
Jump
at
right
this
in.
point. Okay, now, first of all, ordinance officers from the village or ordinance officers?
From the village.
Township?
From the village.
Okay, because I just constructed a home and it seemed like for me, permitting and all the ordinance officers were all out of the township, even though the village had to okay it. So how does it work when they pull a permit with the township already, which I know we don't actually issue a permit here, it's the township that does. How does that work? Because it sounds like they talked to Gage, they pulled a permit just like you would as a homeowner out at the township. They got okayed at the township level, and now the village is saying, no, you can't. And so how would they even be able to pull a permit with the township if the village didn't okay it?
Well, I believe the
It doesn't
village-
make sense to
I
me.
believe that they were told from Gage that they had to apply for it.
Right.
Of course, but how could they even get it if we didn't approve it?
So that's the thing.
How can we approve it if we don't get it, if we don't have it?
No, we wouldn't approve it. The township takes care of everything.
No.
But they would have to have something from us saying it's okay to pull the permit.
Yes, that part.
Right.
So basically what it is, with any project in the village, for zoning compliance, we have our different processes to obtain a zoning approval for a project for zoning compliance. So that's either, if it's a small addition, if it's things like a fence or something, or a deck, that requires administrative review and the approval of a village zoning compliance permit. That's for compliance with the zoning ordinance standards. And then the applicant goes to the township to apply for a building permit for construction standards to make sure whatever project they're doing is in compliance with the Michigan Building Code. So the various village zoning approvals can either be done with an administrative zoning compliance permit or with planning commission review and approval of brand new construction for a project.
But township would not issue that permit without a signed plan.
That I don't.
I know
yeah.
they wouldn't for me.
Right. So
So I'm
that's,
wondering
that I don't know how that occurred then, because it sounds like what it was is that because, as they say, if they had a meeting with Gage and with Dave Goodlow out there, if Dave took Gage's comments as a verbal approval, then that's possibly why he proceeded with the building permit aspect of it,
Okay.
because
So we
he
did
had
have a building
his.
permit for the pergola, correct?
No, there was never ever a zoning permit issued for the pergola, or even for the bar.
Building, building.
Oh, building, I don't know, I've never seen.
Do you have a
I've never
building
seen it.
permit
Most
for that
likely they
pergola?
did, because I have spoken to Dave Goodlow about it.
And you have
He has-
pictures of the pretty
He
green
has
stickers.
indicated that he's gone out there and done his inspections on it.
Yeah.
Yeah, so you'd have pictures of the pretty green stickers that he signs and sticks on your wall and says, you're good
And
to
the
keep
building
moving
permit.
forward.
Yeah,
Yeah, and the
no, yeah,
building.
I mean, he's got all the stuff, I don't know that I actually have one, because this has been a while
So
now.
basically, you're saying the township gave a permit for which there was not a variance, nor an application for a variance submitted.
Correct.
Within the village. And they normally won't do that unless you have
No.
a signed blueprint.
But that's,
And like
Okay.
he said, I think in our meeting with Gage, Gage said, get your permit through the township, and he said it can't be, it can't be connected to the building, so we didn't. And did everything that Dave Goodlow said, you have to use this, you gotta bury it below 42 inches, everything along the way.
But-
We met the,
he just said that Gage said you had to apply. He just said that.
I do have
Gage told
notes,
you
I do
you
have
had
notes
to
on
apply.
that.
yeah,
I do have
well, I'm
notes
just
in my
saying, in there,
system.
when we met with him, he said, go ahead and he told us, get all your permits through the township. And if Dave Goodlow was here, which we can get him here for the next one, whatever, he'll recite in that meeting that when we left that meeting with Gage, we were thought, okay, you know,
It
we're
was,
gonna
it was
bust-
at that meeting that we discovered that it had changed from, we were okay because it wasn't going to be attached. So we didn't need a variance, to him saying, all right, well, now looking at the ordinances, it looks like you do need to apply for a variance. Here's the paperwork, here's what you need to do, and then we took action upon that immediately.
And that's this submission.
Correct.
But the pergola was already built based on you getting the township permit.
Correct.
Right.
Okay.
And with the conversations from Gage saying we were also good to go during that same meeting.
Right, so I guess there is, with them giving us a permit, why wouldn't, you know, and all the paperwork was submitted, you think if it was gonna be this big of a deal, that he would have said, do not order any lumber, do not get your permit through the township until we get it all settled in here.
Absolutely.
we would-
This is a huge variance.
And we would definitely not have done
It's
anything
huge.
because there's a lot of
We got-
money's already
Oh,
spent, so
yeah,
we definitely would not
We
have.
wouldn't have just spent money
I've
to
never
spend
seen-
money,
I've never seen
because the restaurant business, I'm learning is,
That's all I have.
You don't make money.
if that wasn't on a lake, I wouldn't answer the phone. Because you're right, it's a different animal. And when that patio, the weather turned cold and that patio shut off,
Gone.
our sales in half. So now you know the importance of you do whatever you can do that's not crazy in order to make people comfortable in order, if it's 80, 90 degrees, you can't have umbrellas and it's windy, so people aren't gonna sit out there, they're gonna sit in the air conditioning, then what's the purpose of being on a lake?
We don't disagree with any of those things.
Oh, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
Not at all.
I think we should, I don't know who can recommend this, but I think we should table this, give them some relief so they don't have to apply again.
Correct.
Because I think the township should come in and speak for themselves, because this is a huge variance. And I'm just gonna say, it's a possibility it will be denied. So if it's possible to offer them some relief because of what they've already been through, to table it for another time without them having to reapply with all the fees and the waiting period,
Yeah, because if
I
you
would-
deny it,
The-
I would be.
you get shut down for a year. You can't reapply for a
The
year.
key is.
I would be willing
if-
to do that.
If we said no today, you couldn't reapply for a year.
Yep.
We'd probably rather that you withdraw at this point and get the gentleman involved and come back and see us, is
And then-
what I would think.
No, that's what
Or
I'm
perhaps,
suggesting.
perhaps if they could table it, so that way it
Exactly.
doesn't have a new
So that you
application.
don't have
So you
more
just-
fees, so
they
that
can
you don't
request that
have the
you
waiting
table it,
period, so
yeah.
you don't get
Pardon me.
denied, all of it. I'm just
And I can
offering some
attempt,
relief.
and I can provide you with what notes we do have that are written. I can make another effort to search and see if they're gauged on any other notes with regards to the other meeting that happened.
I feel like that's
Would they have to
really
come back in front of
fair.
this board or in front of the planning commission?
No, for you.
Because either one of them can buy it off, correct?
Well, Well, no, because
It's a
still
zoning.
what we're dealing with is the
Okay.
fact that there's an accessory structure within the 25-foot setback.
Okay,
So that's the main aspect, so, and then other aspects of this could be, technically you have the ability to do a review of the administrative procedures. So if you feel that something was an error, that might be a means of providing relief. I'd have to speak with the village attorney to see if that's an option for you. But if for some reason, not for some reason, but if it becomes determined that verbal approval was granted that was not, in fact, eligible to be granted, that might be hate to say it, but it might be, inability of it's an overreach of, maybe call it an overreach of the approval of the powers of the zoning administrator because of granting a verbal approval, because, I've been doing this for a little while, and I never give anybody verbal approval for anything.
No.
Yeah,
So it might be, and that because it could do a disadvantage to the applicants when you do that. If you give someone a verbal approval, it's a
Right.
disadvantage to the applicant. So
So-
that's why that might be another alternative, because as the Board of Zoning Appeals, this is your role in terms of determining whether administrative procedures were reviewed appropriately, interpretations were made correctly. That's one aspect. As I mentioned, based on the written information I had, I directed the applicants to request this, because if this were to be granted, then that would provide them the amount of relief they need, because they want to keep the pergola in the current location. So in order to receive that, they would, based on the information I had at that time, it really is just about getting that variance from that 25-foot setback that they apparently did not know or were informed incorrectly about in terms of compliance.
They could do.
Yeah, so
Right.
I'm just throwing it out there that you might want to consider tabling this. And-
We'll we followed Gage and Dave Goodlow's direction that way, so we'll follow your direction this way.
Well, I'm just saying, if you choose not to, this is up to you. I probably shouldn't even be whatever, but this is up to you. But if you go ahead tonight, like we have scheduled, and we vote, and you're denied, you take it down, you start all over, you pay the fees, and you wait a year. So I think, being that it's getting to be inclement weather anyway, that you ask to have it tabled, get some relief, which I think you are due, and let's see if we
Agreed.
can unravel what you've been told.
and work with Mario, and next time you come in, you bring your permits and pictures of the signed off
Well, let's
construction as
see what
well.
the town-
and-
yeah.
Yeah, and possibly get the township guy in here as
And-
well,
And
If-
yeah.
whatever,
And if
Yeah,
you
whatever
want to
Mario
talk about
recommends.
this between yourselves and come back a little bit later in the meeting, I think we're all.
I mean, it sounds like that's our
That
only,
sounds like
our
what we
only
should
way to
do.
go. I mean, we're this far now. We're
Yeah.
talking
I think
a lot
it's
of
a good
money.
idea.
To go backwards is a lot of
Yeah.
money.
Yeah, without that pergola, it would be,
You aren't really giving up
it
anything
would
now.
be hard to
Just-
stay in
Today-
business.
If we vote today, you'll lose. So you don't want to do that.
No, because if we don't get that,
I think you'll lose.
minus that variance, we would be admittedly in some rough shape, because even, it's also the weather too. The umbrellas don't cover rain for the whole patio. And if we can't see the patio if there's a rain in the forecast, and it may happen, it's Michigan, who knows? And we've had that happen a lot this summer too, and so admittedly, we should definitely table it, because if we don't get that variance, we might not be in business.
Understood.
Like, so you, do you want to wait to decide, or do you want to say right now?
No,
We're
we're
good.
following your lead.
Okay.
Yeah,
So we don't, you're just going to have to say for the record. I
Oh,
think
yeah.
that-
Yeah, we will table it
Okay,
and,
and come back at
yeah,
another,
come back, get our direction and whatever we gotta do.
okay.
Okay,
Just one thing before you guys leave. The owner of 214, you guys are parking a lot of cars in his lot without his permission.
Which is that?
which is too
That's a side lot where everybody walks through the barn and back.
this,
They talking about the taller building on the north of us?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. You know, that's one thing about public, like, we're telling them, like, our people were parking across the street,
But
lumberyard.
that one's private.
Yeah,
And he
It's
said
like-
he's gonna start ticketing, and I don't want you to get tickets.
right, but if it's people that are coming to eat at the restaurant, we have no control over it.
It's a bunch of employees.
Oh, okay.
I mean, I sit right there and watch them.
Yeah, they're supposed to park across the street. We'll
Would you need a
definitely
motion
make sure
to-
that that's
Yeah.
reinforced.
Chris, I'm gonna make a motion.
Okay, just to help you guys, don't do that.
Thank
Yeah,
you.
We'll let them know.
I'm gonna make a motion that this variance number, sorry. It's in the A-25-005-256 South Broadway is going to table their submission for a variance until a later date.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and support, or motion and second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, the motion is tabled.
We'll get that guy, we'll get to the
We'll hope to
facts
see
and
you,
figure it
hope
out.
to see you soon.
Yeah, all right, thanks a lot, Kate.
Thank you. Yeah, that was a first.
Okay. Next item is item 8B, case 8-25-006, 694 Victoria Island dimensional variance request.
So this application before you tonight is in regards to 694 Victoria Island, as mentioned. This lot is approximately 9,260 square feet in area and is occupied currently by a 936 square foot, one-story, single-family principal residence. Also a 454.9 square foot attached rear deck, and then a 96 square foot detached accessory structure, which is a small shed. The lot is located on the west side of Victoria Island, which is zoned RL, Lake Single Family Residential. The applicant is proposing to redevelop the structure, that would result in some demolition, a partial demolition of the rear of the structure, and then in addition to that rear, and then a new addition resulting in the residence being a total of 1,965 square feet after these proposed demolitions and additions, with an area of 503 square feet for a wood deck, and a 454 square foot flat surface patio. So as proposed, this redevelopment and the construction of the addition on the southeast elevation in the rear yard is in compliance with all zoning ordinance dimensional standards requirements except for one. The location of the proposed addition in this location is located in the street or the rear yard setback and would require one variance. The rear yard setback for the RL district is a minimum of 25 feet. The applicant is requesting that they be allowed to construct it within 14 feet 7 inches of the rear lot line. So therefore, they're asking for a 10-foot 5-inch variance. So looking again at the approval criteria that you must judge the request in, that's located in the zoning ordinance.
This is on the original.
Once again, we're looking at whether strict compliance with the rear yard setback requirement would unreasonably prevent the owner from using the property. So as I mentioned, the applicant it's an existing cottage, if you will, that's 936 square feet in area. They're proposing to basically renovate it to bring it up to modern standards and allow for what we would consider modern living standards, having a common area in the main structure, and then having two bathrooms and bedrooms in the rest of the structure, resulting in a 1,900 square foot building. One thing to note is that this site, the distance from the rear property line to that waterfront line is 62 feet 11 inches. So when you factor in the 25-foot front waterfront requirement and then a 25-foot rear yard requirement, the remaining building envelope is 12 feet 11 inches. So if there was no existing structure on the site, the applicant would only have a 12-foot by 11-inch deep building envelope to construct a residence. So Then with regards to the idea of whether compliance with that 12-foot, 11-inch building envelope would be unreasonably, unnecessarily burdensome on the property owner, it's a matter of the BZA making a determination whether this is actually unreasonable. Is the addition and the use of the property in the RL district for this particular location allowing for a structure that's 12 feet, 11 inches deep, is that, practical, or do you feel that due to these setback requirements, it's unnecessarily being a burden? It's a matter of whether determining that such a requirement is therefore restricting the use of the site. The site is currently being used as a residence as a cottage, so it has been utilized as such, and that's because it is legally non-conforming. The structure, its location, and its size is based on legal nonconformity, meaning that these standards did not exist. We give the benefit of the doubt to the property owner that originally constructed the structure, that back then there was no requirement for this, for these setbacks, and therefore everything up to that point had been legally conforming with what was, or if the standards even existed. So mainly that's the main issue with regards to this particular case, is that with regards to residential living in the village and with regards to our setback requirements, the intent is to create a building envelope to allow for a structure so that it can be used on site. So whether in this particular case, based on these particular lot size and depth and orientation and the way it's been platted, whether this is something that, is it requiring the applicant to remain within the confines of the ordinance standards, is that rise to the level of being a burden, or is it reasonable to ask for some relief? In this case, the applicant has made a determination they'd like to have a relief of 10 feet 5 inches and allow for that. So one other thing just to point out with regards to that, like I said, that's really the crux of it. So it's also a question of substantial justice, whether the majority of once again, lakefront homes have been permitted to have a residence on the site, but it's a matter of whether you feel that the standards applied are unnecessarily burdensome on them, but also because other lots have been allowed to be utilized for a residence, should this request merit the need to provide them with substantial justice and give them the variance. So that's a question before you with regards to this individual case. As I noted previously, this board shall only grant a variance when you've determined that the requirements for the zoning ordinance variance has been met, as we've discussed, and you can make your determinations relative to these standards and specify the grounds for your determination that the variance standards have been met. So I can take any questions at any time.
Any questions?
I'm just looking at the plot. Is the variance on the water side or the other side? What are we calling the rear?
So the rear is the opposite of the water. So in this particular case, this lot actually has no frontage on a public right-of-way anymore. When it was originally platted, there was a road platted, a paper road basically created along the water's edge. But since that time, it has been abandoned, or vacated, I should say. The right-of-way was vacated. So now the lot only exists as access from the water side. That's how the site is accessed. There's a residence to the north, residence to the south, and residence to the east. So on their side lot lines and on their rear lot lines, there is no public right-of-way to access the lot.
Okay.
So you have the waterfront, which is, in this particular case, is both their waterfront and their front yard. And then the rear yard is opposite of that. So this variance is from the rear yard setback. They'd like to be, rather than 25 feet from that rear yard opposite of the water, they'd like to be 14 feet.
So it's up here.
Yeah, is that one right there?
Thank you. Next, we'll have a presentation from the petitioner.
Ed Sable, 2 Highland Avenue. A little background. I actually used to live out on Victoria Island for 17 years, and this property was our direct neighbor. So I know a lot of history about the island. I know it's been going on out there, and I know I've watched that house sit as like a raccoon habitat for the longest time. And Kevin came in and took it on, and I've watched him haul load after load after load of stuff out of there, and it's so nice to see some activity out there again. The biggest thing that I scratch my head when I'm looking at this from a variance standpoint is we're asking for a road front setback, only there's no road. There used to be, which was legally vacated I think in the late 80s by Bob Turner. And so now and it doesn't show the property that is on the opposite side of that lot line that we're asking for the variance from, but the house is 5 feet or less from this property line. So when they constructed all these cottages, a lot of the people set their homes as far back as they could so they could enjoy the big front yard and enjoy the lakefront view, which is kind of what Mr. Reiner's trying to do. But in the same respect, you want to keep a little distance off of the neighbor, because if something catches on fire on the island, flame spread at 5 feet setbacks and our tight setbacks that we enjoy on the other side of the lake is by the time they get their fancy boat out there, I think it's already over. So the other issue is the public utilities. There is natural gas, city sewer, and overhead electrical. Those all run in the area which Mr. Reiner's attempting to avoid back there and provide for potential service. Should anybody, they've got a mini out there now to replace some pumps and stuff, but the small machinery we ever bring out there is, pretty tiny. The other cool thing is most of our clients come in and just ask us to clear cut the yards, and the older we get, the more we kind of have a love-hate relationship with trees. But right now, when I look outside of my door, it's like an explosion of color, and it's kind of one of the cool things about Lake Orion. It makes it look like a mature neighborhood, like it's been here forever, and so many people come in and level these trees that'll never grow back in any of our lifetime. And Kevin has made every effort to avoid cutting down at least the strongest and the healthiest trees in the yard. Two other things: there is a dilapidated shed in the yard. There is a boathouse that is depending on the pontoon boat that's underneath it for structure right now. He's proposing to eliminate both of those items and just come clean with a nice structure that really doesn't crowd any of the property lines. So
I think if he eliminates the boathouse, he can never get it back.
Correct.
He might want to think about
that's not true.
He might want to think about it.
Yeah, no, he knows. He knows. Any questions?
Yes. So this Kevin, how long has Kevin owned the house?
2 years? 2 years. 2 years?
So bought it
Two or
as a
three.
936 square foot house with 455 feet of deck and a 96 square foot detached structure, right? Purchased it like that?
Yes, yeah, that was all there. There's no improvements other than just yard cleanup since he's owned
So
it.
now he's proposing a 1,956 square foot house. Is that two-story?
Single story.
So more than double the footprint of the one that's there.
Yes, but
503 square feet of deck instead of 454. Getting rid of its shed, but adding, so almost 1,000 square feet of decks and patio.
but still well under unlock
No, I'm
coverage.
saying, is that correct?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, so how many trees would come down if he didn't have excuse me, what would the square foot of the house be if he complied with not having a variance?
That's a good question. I don't know. I do
Any
know
more than
the,
956?
I know the overall width would be, is it 12 foot?
12 foot, 11
12,
inches.
11, 10, 12 foot?
Yep, 12 foot.
And a single wide trailer is 15. So we don't build too many of those on the lake.
So what are you talking, 12 by 15?
It'd be 12 feet in depth. So, and then he could, I guess, in theory, go all the way out to the lot line.
I don't know, I'm just asking how big a house he has 936 square feet. And he has 455 square foot of deck. He's gonna have 1,000 square feet of deck and patio and 1,956 square feet house. So if he didn't have the variance, what kind of hardship would there be? What kind of house size would there be? Would it be well over 936 that's existing?
I have never, ever built a house that's 12 feet wide. I just don't know how it would work.
Well,
I'm sure it's not impossible, but it's not, I guess, in keeping with anything else that anybody's building in the
well,
neighborhood.
the plans are drawn, right, in 1956?
Which, oh, for the
Are
house
there
that's there?
plans- Are there house plans drawn for 1,956 square feet?
They should be in your packet.
That's what I'm saying. So what if you didn't get the variance? Was there any house plans presented to the owner for that?
These are his plans.
Okay.
70 by 12.
Because usually a builder will kind of know.
I'm actually not hired to do anything
Oh.
for Mr. Reiner. He's a friend of mine.
Oh, I'm sorry. I thought you were here as a builder.
I'm just here to share the facts and help him out because I've been here at least a dozen times.
You have?
Yes.
Mostly as a builder.
Yeah.
So
Right,
I thought you were here as a builder.
No, I'm a friend and a neighbor, and
Okay.
when he gets my price, he might not want me to do it
I've seen you
anyway.
here as a builder many, many times.
Yes.
So I apologize. I thought.
No, it's
you were
okay.
here.
Yeah, I'm,
Okay. Okay, thanks. Okay, thank you. Well, I don't know, you guys have questions for me?
I mean, it's pretty self-explanatory. I just didn't know, I wanted to make sure that the variance wasn't coming off the original house, because it wouldn't be needed. And then, so the variance would be all towards that back lot line. And then, yeah, you can see by the plans, he's taking out the boathouse and the shed. And then his neighbor's shed behind him is like right on the lot line.
Are we discussing right now?
But, yeah,
Are we under
so,
discussion?
so,
Because if we do, we have to close that, right?
yeah,
No, okay. So we're discussing?
no, we're just,
We move on to receive a public comment.
Yeah.
So if there's any public comment on this? If not, we'll move on to the recommendation of the planner staff. Mr. Ortega?
So based on my experience with regards to interpretation of setback requirements and practicality related to the ability to have a viable building envelope, I do believe that the criteria has been met, mainly because with regards to the modern building code, and to answer your question, I do believe the estimate would be, the building envelope would be about 70 feet wide along the width of the lot and then 12 feet deep. So what was that, like 1,400 or ish?
820 square feet.
Thank you. Oh,
Eight-
math doctor, right there. So, so that would be the size. And then with regards to, as I was mentioning, with regards to the building setback, and the setbacks creating this building envelope, whether this is a self-created situation, it could be construed as being partially self-created because the applicant did buy this lot with these particular dimensions, but they didn't create them. That interpretation can sometimes go one way or the other in terms of your eventual determination of self-creation. You know, buying something knowing the conditions versus the fact that he actually didn't create them. He had no hand in creating them. I've seen it go either way. but in my experience, due to the small size of the building envelope, some type of relief is typically granted to allow for some type of additional structure. And so our recommendation would be to grant the variance based on the fact that strict compliance could be construed as unnecessarily burdensome, and based on the fact that the situation is only partially self-created in this particular situation. And I just want to make a note, I have had some conversations with other board members, and I do know that this is not my experience, bringing my experience and current and recent approaches to variances is new to the board. I know in the past, you might have a more, forgive me, I don't know the exact word for it, but I say be more direct interpretation of the standards, meaning that a very strict and I guess you could say black and white interpretation of the standards, whereas I'm just using my experience with regards to indicating that when it comes to land use and comes to setback requirements, typically you do have, if the ordinance is created by the community, result in certain situations where a proposed use can't be achieved, the ability to grant some relief is in order. As the Board of Zoning Appeals, you get to determine how much relief is appropriate based on previous experiences, based on your previous practice, and based on the current uses within the village. So it's up to your determination as whether this rises to being burdensome and whether this rises to the point of being excessive, or whether it's appropriate in scale for this particular situation.
Okay, thank you. All right, now we'll have board deliberation and action.
Well, I'm inclined to deny it because we've denied variances that are.
My apologies to interrupt, but we do have to make sure that this is done out in the public.
It's what?
We need to speak in the microphone.
Oh, only because in the past, every time we've had a situation where someone's owned something, purchased something, asked for a variance, just because things across the street, down the street, somewhere in the village have been done, it was purchased knowing that these were the setbacks. And we've consistently denied people.
And we've all
For
sent
these-
people back to see if they can make an adjustment.
Right, for these same situations, right.
In this one, though, the lot width and area that they have is so minimal. I mean, I tend to agree with the planner. It's a little on the burdensome side if they actually want to turn this into any type of residence.
But when you know that when you bought it, without having to ask for a variance? And a variance is a variance. I understand, I kind of feel bad because it's not on the water side. It seems like 90% of the ones we get are on the water side.
Yes.
It's not, but a variance is kind of, a variance is a variance. So that's the only reason I kind of feel like we've always gone down the road of not
This is
granting
also
variances for.
a little bit different in that it's on the island, and this is, in my 10 years of being here, I think this is the first one I've actually seen.
Well, there'll be more, I'm sure.
Yeah, on the actual island. Yeah, exactly, everybody's making a $1 million
Yeah.
house now. So I do think it's different than what we've ruled on before by quite a bit. We do not have a street, and I'm kind of surprised our rear offset or front offset is normally called the front of the house, which is the back here. I know the offsets are exactly the same, but there's no contingency, I mean, for something like that. Normally there'd be a road in between, and I think all the neighbors are quite tight on that island already. But as you could see by the plan, he was trying to keep all the trees and keep it beautiful as well, so I would tend to motion.
Well, I don't know what you're gonna do about the trees when you go from 936 square feet plus 450 to 2,000 plus 1,000. New patio, new decks, 1,000 square feet, some trees are gonna come down for that,
Oh, yeah, absolutely, some are.
so
Yeah, I think you can actually count them in the picture.
you can't prohibit someone from cutting trees, whether it's in their way or not.
Yeah, they, kept the ones.
Based on a comparison of the existing conditions and proposed, it does look like 4 trees would be removed.
Yeah, 4 trees. So, Thoughts? Thoughts?
I'm inclined to approve.
Round 2.
I am also inclined to approve. And whether we approve it or not, if we do approve, it's for this particular piece of property, not,
All the people that come after?
Yeah,
well, there's been some people that, well,
This
you
is a-
approved it for
Right.
this
That's right.
person.
That was my whole
Oh.
reason for this, is what we
It's-
denied.
It's, this is a particular case before us, it's not like every other case. Each case that comes before us has its own set of challenges.
yes, they do.
So that being said, though, I'm inclined to, approve.
Okay. Any other comments?
Anybody else? Anybody want to make a motion?
Let me find the motion here.
It's on page 23.
Thank you. Yeah. Okay. In case A 25-006-694, I'd like to make a motion that we approve the variances as described in, by McKinney and Associates. Do I need to say anything else?
There should be a prepared proposal.
It's option A, 23
Yep.
is what you're gonna
If the
read.
BZA determines the ordinance standards for the requests of the variance have been met, the motion to grant the 10.5 in variance from the zoning ordinance section 12.02, minimum required rear yard setback standard for the property of 694 Victoria Island, parcel ID, hashtag 0903481-009. This variance approved is based on the following findings of fact, which the BZA has determined in support of the establishment of the particular difficulties with the ordinance and compliance as listed by McKinney and Associates.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and second, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Wait, you
Opposed?
gotta do roll call.
Oh, roll
Yeah,
call.
roll call.
Matheson,
Yes,
Loriant,
Yes.
Shaker Crawford,
No.
Balo.
Yes,
motion passes. Okay. That ends the action items. We have
thank you, have a nice day.
the next item is unfinished business. And we have none. Next item would be second hearing of the public or call for non-agenda items. I don't have a name for it. Anybody else have anything non-agenda items? If not, I will continue on. Next, we'll go to board member comments. Mary? Anything? Mr. Durant?
No comments, sir.
Dr. Bailo?
No, sir.
I got a couple things. Monthly, we used to get a monthly report, a planning
Oh.
report.
Oh, you normally get those? Oh, I can provide that for you, definitely. Yeah.
Yeah, we kind of got them sporadically, but they were,
Okay.
to me, they were always helpful.
Hey,
Well,
Yeah.
they are prepared every month because we do have a monthly development team meeting.
Okay.
So I can make sure that even if we don't have a case, I can email them to the board members.
Oh, sure.
So you're aware of
You guys
that.
are okay with email?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm fine with the email.
Sure,
The other, just lost my train of thought. I guess I don't have any other ones, for our next meeting, if we could put it on as an agenda item for, visiting the bylaws to change, to tweak the, agenda layout a little bit.
Oh, yes, absolutely.
Yeah, because I think they changed it last time without informing us, and now, for the last 3 or 4 meetings, because we don't have them very often, we're searching all over the place in our packets for what used to be laid out very
Okay.
cleanly, we thought.
If we can have that, yeah, if we can have that as an agenda item for the next meeting. And other than that,
The next meeting for which we have a topic, not just meet for that, right?
No.
No.
Next time we have time.
Yeah,
whatever.
when we have an agenda item, when we have a
We
meeting.
really like each.
Okay,
Well, if I may, couple other things. I spoke with Brad, the Chairman Matheson, about this. I know last Gage left you, he was talking about training.
Yes.
And so I do think it's appropriate. So, if we do have, as long as you're okay with it, if we don't have an agenda item, if we did have a meeting where we did not have a training session, would that be acceptable?
that'd be great.
Yeah.
Okay, because, and then I do, as I mentioned earlier, I did have a conversation with Chairman Chaka Crawford, forgive me if I'm pronouncing
Chaka,
correctly.
that's fine.
Chaka Crawford, and with Chairman Putz, and I appreciate their comments, because it is important to make sure that the board feel comfortable and consistent with what the information you're presented with, how it's presented, and then the information you need in order to make your decision. So I will say that my approach to the BZA has evolved over my time, mainly because we've always had one instance in where we were more forward with our recommendations and more definitive. I've been receiving some pushback lately from some attorneys with regards to how definitive we can or cannot be with our recommendations. So, but I'd like to go over that with you guys, and so also learn from you what you would like to expect from me in terms of the information, and then making sure, and then also going over, I think during the training session, going over past approaches to things and making sure that we stay consistent. And then also looking at, but also recognizing that it changes over time, how the approaches can be shifted, and within the confines of what you're doing, because you are, I don't know how often you hear this, but you are a quasi-judicial body when it comes to the Waterside social case today, and then also with the Victoria Island. If they feel aggrieved by your decision, then the next course of action is for them to go to circuit court. So we want to make sure, that's why we want to make sure everything we do here in terms of our motions, in terms of our actions, stand up to scrutiny within the court. So that's why it's important to go through the training annually, and that's why it's important for me to provide you what you need in terms of making those informed decisions. So I think we do have a meeting where we don't have any agenda items. It'd be good to have that kind of discussion. And then I'm always available at any point in time to have one-on-one discussions with any board member to go over either the specifics of a case in particular or things in general. So.
Thank you.
I don't have anything else. Next item would be item 12, next regular meeting, December 4th, 2025.
Pending you have cases.
Do we have cases?
Pending you have case.
Okay.
Pending cases are
Yeah. Right.
Pending cases. That one.
All right, and this is kind of weird that this, I'm gonna skip what we have an ADA notice. I'll just have the list listed. Okay, last item is adjournment. Entertain a motion to
Motion to adjourn.
Second?
We have a motion. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, we are adjourned.